This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Through the dark night, seeing clear, my vision's gone, can't see it through. In the fire, I try to catch myself. Should I lay next to you? How can we fly if we never go? I wanna dive in the everglow. How can we live if we never know? Think I'm ready for your love. Think I'm ready for your love.
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, so they say that it does not matter who the host is, and I tend to agree with them 100%. Anyways, today is Thursday, May the 21st of 2026, and we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there. Radio Big. Oh, yes, doing our stuff at Radio Big and doing our stuff around the multiverse of things that is going on inside of the world, which I kind of find interesting, so no doubt about that. Anyway, so we're hanging out and doing all kinds of fun stuff as we are doing some stuff this morning, no doubt about that. So if you're new here, let's talk real quick. Our show consists of safety in the news and safety. Yep, that's kind of the way that it goes. It talks about in the things that we kind of do inside of the multiverse. So if you're interested in hanging out with us and doing some things, all you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. No doubt about that. So I have to tell you, I've been looking around the interwebs because that's kind of what I do. And there's this new group that is getting together, and it looks like they're releasing some podcasts around the world of safety. And I think it's kind of interesting. It's seems like an interesting podcast, not a problem. And it's like what started the conversation between people that are passionate about construction, safety, and leadership are here about real life chaos in industry finally coming to life. No corporate scripts, no sugarcoating, just real talk in the field with people who actually care about life every day. And then they have their logo, not a problem, cool. And then sponsored by, and then they have their good old sponsor slapped right on the cover art of everything. So I'm kind of confused. So no corporate talk, but then you have a sponsor right on the screen. I'm slightly confused. I mean, nothing against sponsors, nothing against podcasting. I'm very excited about people putting new stuff out there. But it's kind of crosses some things when you start talking about stuff like that. And I kind of find it funny because here's the interesting part. If you have not realized this is exactly what goes on every day with us in the world and what we do for work. We are told that we care about the priority of safety in regards of the workplace. And then you see something like that where it's like, we're not stopping work and something happened because money is more important. And listen, I'm not picking on those people. I'm glad. I'm excited. I really hope that they're successful. Don't take that the wrong way. But it's the messaging sometimes that gets so distorted with some of the stuff that we do. And I mean that with the best intent possible. I am sure that these people have the greatest intention on the planet in getting this to be successful and really trying to share their message. I'm not saying that, but it's just sometimes on how we construct some of the messaging that it needs to be adjusted. That happens. It's okay. Listen, learning curves all the way in regards to some of the stuff that we get to do. So don't get me wrong here. Okay, so let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the multiverse. Our show is a cluster F, is really what it boils down to. We talk a little bit about this, we talk a little bit about that, and we kind of blend the world together with everything that's going on. It's just the simplest way of doing some of the stuff that we do. But let's just be realistic. So, as we're going through this today, we are going to bring in our friends from Feature Story News. They're going to tell us about what the hell's going on inside of the news sources, because that's just kind of what we do around here. And the reason that we do it in that particular fashion is because they're the pro broadcasters. I am just the jackass behind the microphone. That's just kind of how it works. And we'll do our traditional stuff in regards to bringing everything forward. And then in the middle of the show, we will do our main story. And the reason why we kind of go through this whole crossroads of everything that we do, the reason that it's done in this fashion is because I try to give the example day in and day out, and I don't mention it every day, which is probably a bad thing on my part, that if you start talking immediately about safety inside of a safety meeting and you do not kind of humanize some of the stuff that's going on, you're going to lose people right away. It's just really how it goes. So, with that being said, I do have my friends from Feature Story News ready to go. They're wanting to talk. They're wanting to blab. And I think that that's going to be a good thing, that they want to blab, they want to talk, and all that other kind of fun stuff. Because I'm always looking around going, I don't know who wants to do what around here, because, what is the gig?
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in the UK, I'm John Beaver. Shares soared in Tokyo, Seoul and some other Asian markets on Thursday amid hopes of a Middle East peace deal, as well as negotiations averting a planned strike at Samsung Electronics. US President Donald Trump says talks were borderline between a deal and renewed attacks on Iran. Laura Westbrook reports.
Japan's Nikkei 225 index jumped more than 3.5% after Iran said it was examining a new U.S. proposal to end the Iran war. Meanwhile, global oil benchmark Brent crude was hovering at around $105 a barrel. But analysts warn investors remain wary after weeks of false starts. South Korea's Kospi index, meanwhile, soared around 7% in morning trading after a late notice on Wednesday by Samsung's union that a strike had been put on hold after negotiations with management resumed. The labor union had been planning to strike on Thursday after talks over bonuses broke down.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio will visit India this weekend with trade, defence and energy at the top of the agenda. New Delhi and Washington have been negotiating a trade pact for several months. But now reports suggest a US investigation into alleged unfair trading practice by Indian sectors could complicate talks, as Ishan Garg tells us from New Delhi.
There is now one major sticking point which might not be part of the trade pact at all. There is an investigation in the US against Indian sectors, particularly looking at 7 sectors. Among them, chief are solar modules and Indian steel, with the US Department of Trade representative saying that India has excess capacity of steel and solar modules and it is therefore competing unfairly in the international trade markets. And if that investigation leads to them finding Indian sectors guilty of oversupplying the market, it could lead to tariffs on certain Indian products. And reports here are suggesting that until that matter is resolved, New Delhi might not be keen on moving ahead with a trade deal. So that could be one of the items that could be up for discussion during Secretary of State's visit to New Delhi.
The UK communications regulator says some social media companies have failed to make their feeds safe enough for children, despite a law passed last year that was meant to reduce children's exposure to harmful content. Stuart Smith has more from London.
The latest survey from the communications regulator found 3/4 of children between 11 and 17 years old report seeing harmful content online every month. It says that's evidence more needs to be done, and the regulator will use new audit powers to verify the actions social media companies are taking, such as content detection, moderation, and age checks. 84% of children aged 8 to 12 still use YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, or Snapchat, despite all of those requiring their users be at least 13 years old.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks with more today on the US Justice Department's indictment of former Cuban President Raul Castro. He's facing murder and conspiracy charges in the United States. The indictment comes at a time when the Trump administration is applying unprecedented pressure on the Cuban government and enforcing a strengthened economic blockade of the communist-run island. The charges center on a 1996 incident in which Cuban fighter jets shot down 2 planes operated by a group of Miami-based Cuban exiles. 4 people were killed, including 3 American citizens. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says bringing Raul Castro and other Cuban officials to justice is long overdue.
For nearly 30 years, the families of 4 murdered Americans have waited for justice. My message today is clear. The United States and President Trump does not and will not forget its citizens.
The Cuban government said the charges have no legal basis and demonstrate the Trump administration's arrogance and frustration. The US move seems designed to raise the pressure on Havana if the Cuban government wants to avoid the kind of military strike on Venezuela conducted by the Trump administration in January that led to the seizure of former President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, now awaiting trial on narco-terrorism charges in New York. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
To recap the top stories, shares soared in Asia on Thursday morning amid hopes of a Middle East peace deal as well as negotiations averting a planned strike at Samsung Electronics. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio will visit India this weekend as trade negotiations continue between the two countries. And the UK communications regulator says some social media companies have failed to make their feeds safe enough for children. That's the latest feature story news. John Beaver reporting.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
You've seen the loop. You've felt the shift. The script doesn't fit anymore, and neither do you. Safety transmission. The collapse of the construct is the third and final signal in the trilogy from J. Allen, Ph.D. And this time, it's not about waking up. It's about what you do once you're awake. The system didn't break. It just stopped pretending to hold you. And now it's blinking, rebranding presence, packaging resistance, and calling it progress. This book isn't a guide. It's a transmission. It doesn't teach the system how to evolve. It shows you how to stop performing for it. You'll see what happens when awareness becomes responsibility, when audits don't listen, and when leadership becomes a loop. But if you've made it this far, you're not here to be managed. You're here to carry signal. Safety transmission. The collapse of the construct. Now available in print, Kindle, and audiobook. Narrated by J. Allen, Ph.D. Because if it couldn't hold your signal, it was never real to begin with.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Always replicated, but never duplicated. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, here we go. 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out and doing all the fun stuff that we get to do. Okay, so let's start talking right away about some things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse. So yesterday, I had to talk about this because this actually did happen. Yesterday on CNBC, CNBC, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos fired back to people who say he doesn't pay taxes. Here's what he had to say.
These people sometimes say that I don't pay taxes. That's not true. I pay billions of dollars in taxes. And it's a perfect, again, if people want me to pay more billions, then let's have that debate. But don't pretend, that's going to solve the problem. You could double the taxes I pay, and it's not going to help that teacher in Queens. I promise you. You can't connect those two things, not logically.
Okay, so there you go. He wanted to make sure that people knew right away. Listen, in regards of what his tax situation is, I don't know how that actually goes in regards to that because, listen, I don't know about this guy's personal taxes. I don't know his company taxes. I'm sure that if I wanted to really start digging for stuff, we could probably find that, but do you care that much in regards about this stuff? I know there was a portion of the conversation, too, where he made some other references about some things that were going on in regards on how the taxes for the bottom 50% is how it was referenced. Yeah, should not be paying taxes at all. And he said that he would be talking to the president about that. So I don't know. Maybe you have that kind of pull where you could do something like that. I do not. Duh. So that is maybe just something to think about as we are talking. Okay, so let's start talking about some other stuff. We're going to jump around a little bit today in regards of everything that is going on. Do you know who Joey Chestnut is? Does the name sound familiar? Joey Chestnut will still be defending his title at Nathan's famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest just with probation officers somewhere in the background keeping a score too. The 17-time hot dog champion pleaded guilty to misdemeanor battery charge tied to an incident at the bar in Indiana back in March. According to reports, the case involved an altercation where Chestnut allegedly slapped another man across the face and started a friendly handshake. Let's see. Court records show that Chestnut was sentenced to 180-day probation, but he says that he has no travel restrictions and remains free to compete around the country. This means that he's still expected to appear at the annual hot dog showdown at Nathan's famous hot dog in Coney Island on July the 4th. So there you go. I mean, what a thing. What a thing to do. I mean, there you go. So are you familiar with this? A few days ago, the University of Central Florida, which is kind of that way, had a commencement speech that occurred, and somebody talked about AI, and the lady got booed. Apparently, speaking about AI in a commencement speech is not the greatest idea. So, Scott Borchetta got a rough welcome from some of the college graduates after bringing up artificial intelligence during a commencement speech in the middle of Tennessee State University. The Big Machine Records CEO, best known for discovering Taylor Swift, was speaking to graduates from the University Media, Business, and Education College when he warned that AI is already reshaping the music industry. The second he said that AI is rewriting production as we sit here, parts of the crowd started booing. Scott didn't back down either. He laughed it off of the reaction and then fired back with, "You can hear me now or pay me later," telling the students that AI is a tool that they need to learn on how to use it instead of fear. He argued that the industry was changed faster in the last decade than the previous 50 years, with streaming and social media already completely rewriting the business. He also stressed that creativity still matters most, saying that great storytelling and strong instincts can't be replaced by technology. According to Scott, platforms come and go, but content is still king.
Content is king, baby.
So some stuff to think about as we are talking. So let me kind of make sure that we understand this and have maybe some conversations. I want you to think about that industry. I want you to think about the music industry for a period of time here. And the reason that I'm mentioning this is think about, depending on how long you've been alive, because this will play a factor into it. Think about how it's changed throughout the decades. But let's kind of go into the 90s. The 90s will be a kind of a factor, and you start thinking about that, and you go, well, holy shit, we're almost talking like 30-some-odd years ago. When Napster came about, that was technology where you did file transfers from computer to computer, peer-to-peer, and people were able to upload MP3s, which was even unheard of on the time, where you were compressing a digital file and being able to shoot across. People thought that technology would not be disruptive when it was all said and done, and then come to find out that, boom, that changed the industry entirely in regards on how people receive music now. I mean, without that, without Napster, essentially, I don't believe there's an iTunes. I don't believe there's these streaming services. I don't believe there's all this thing on how you receive music. You used to have to go to a record store, an album store, or whatever the hell you want to call it, a music store, and you would have to go and curate these things and get these titles. And I remember, I probably have them somewhere buried in my house still, where you would buy these giant books to put your CDs in because you would carry so many of them. And I remember when I was a kid, there was this thing called an 8-track, which looked like almost like a giant tape that you would listen to music off of, or you had the record player, and then they came out with a cassette, and then the cassette, then we went into a CD and all this other stuff, and you had to have each individual album per se to be able to listen to it. With the cassette, it was terrible. Not that it was terrible to listen to the music, but you would have to fast forward to get to the song you wanted to get to. It's not like it was that you would just skip to a track. So that just should tell you how old I am. But so I don't think the guy is wrong that the industry will continue to evolve. I mean, if you look at something like Suno, we'll use that as an example. I'm not picking on them. But Suno, you go in there, you give it some ideas of what you're trying to accomplish, and it can create a track for you that quick. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm amazed with some of the stuff that it can do. The technology has definitely changed over the last little bit, where I will tell you that they want to make sure that, most artists want to make sure that nobody's sampling their music.
Duh.
And I get that in regards of training some of this AI. So it's going to get weirder and weirder. And I mean, I will tell you, if you looked at any of the stuff from Google I.O., which was the announcement of everything that was going on with Gemini, and listen, we like Gemini around here. We're not going to lie about that. If you look at it, there was a portion they didn't talk about. Or I don't remember them talking about it, but then again, I've only watched the briefings of what was going on. There was a portion there that they talked about, or they have hidden inside of there, that it can create music now. And this is Google releasing this. So this is just going to get bigger and bigger as we go. And that just seems to be the thing that's going to happen. So there you go. Let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse. As you can see, I'm very passionate about music, so I can never shut up when anybody starts talking about it. 2 police officers who defended the Capitol on January the 6th are suing the Trump administration over the controversial new compensation fund tied to people charged in the Capitol riot cases. Former Harry Dunn and Washington, D.C. officers Daniel Hodges filed a lawsuit aiming to block nearly $1.8 billion program they claim that could financially benefit the January 6th defendants, including people who are already pardoned by President Donald Trump. The suit accuses the administration officials by creating what they described as an unauthorized slush fund without approval from Congress. Named in the lawsuit are acting Attorney General Todd Blanche and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. The administration says the funds is intended to compensate people it believes were unfairly prosecuted by the Biden Justice Department. Yeah, the Biden Justice Department. Critics, including some Republicans, argue the taxpayer money should not be used to support the people connected to the Capitol attack. Dunn and Hodges both became nationally known after testifying before Congress about the violence officers faced on that day. More than 150 law enforcement officials were injured during the riot. The footage of Hodges being crushed in the Capitol tunnel while rioters ripped his gas mask became one of the most defining images of the attack. So it's just some stuff to think about as we are talking, that is for sure. Okay, what else do I got for you as we are hanging out here? Because that is the thingamajigger to talk about. How about this one real quick? Take a listen to this. Let's see what you think here. A new congressional report claims that the U.S. military has lost or damaged 42, that is 42, aircraft since the Iran war began on February the 28th, with some of the biggest losses reportedly coming from a friendly fire, costly rescue operations. According to the report, Congressional Research Service, 32 aircrafts have been destroyed so far, including a 24 MQ-9 Reaper drones valued at about $30 million each. The losses also include 4 F-15E Strike Eagles, 3 reported shot down accidentally by Kuwait air defenses in a friendly fire incident, and another downed, not drowned, by Iranian forces in April. The April shootdown triggered the high-risk rescue mission that Donald Trump reportedly called the most daring operation in U.S. history. During the mission, 2 MC-130Js Command 2 aircrafts had been destroyed on the ground after becoming coming stranded inside of Iran. While an A-10 Warhog was also shot down, other losses listed in the report include a KC-135 refueling plane that crashed in Iraq, killing 6 crew members aboard, and multiple aircraft damage during Iran missile and drone strike on the bases of Saudi Arabia. On the damaged aircraft was a E-3 Sentry surveillance plane, considered one of the air's most valuable airborne commands. The financial cost of the conflict is also climbing fast. Pentagon officials now estimate that the war now costs roughly $29 billion, sharply from the projections that were given earlier. Most of that money has reportedly gone towards replacing weapons, repairing damaged equipment, and maintaining deployments across the region. So where do you say? There's definitely a high cost there, no doubt about that as we are talking. So what is your thought process as we are talking about the whole thing? I mean, I'm just asking. So there you go. So what do you think about this one? This one, we kind of knew that it was going to be controversial from the very beginning. It wasn't like that there was ever a point that there was going to be a conversation that you were going to go, this is going to vary, but a group of Democratic senators is pushing back against the reported plans to place Donald Trump's image inside of the special edition U.S. passport being designed for America's 250th anniversary. In a letter sent to Mark Rubio, Senator Jeff Merkley, Chris Van Hollen, quite a few senators, let's just put it this way, from the State Department to stop the proposal. The reported design would reportedly feature Trump's likeness over the Declaration of Independence as part of the commemorative passport. The senators argue that putting the image of a sitting president into a U.S. passport would break longstanding precedent and turn the country's 250th anniversary celebration into what they call a vehicle for personal promotion. They also are demanding details about how much the redesign would cost, how the design was approved, and whether Americans would still have the option to request a standard passport instead. The controversy comes as Trump's likeness is also reportedly planned for the special 250th anniversary of the $1 coin, while updated U.S. dollar bills are expected to carry his signature. What do you think here? Because here's the interesting part, because you know that everything's so political when it comes to stuff. I mean, let's just not lie.
Duh.
There are going to be people that I would imagine would almost let their passport lapse because they would prefer not to actually have Donald Trump on their passport. You are aware that there are people like that. Let's just be realistic. And I would imagine that if it was the previous administration and that would have come up too, there would be people that would not want Joe Biden on their passport. Not saying that that's a thing. I'm just saying that would have occurred as well. So just some crazy stuff to think about.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's continue talking about everything else that is going on inside of this multiverse of ours, because that's just kind of what we do around here, because if not, we'd be doing something entirely different. So take a listen to this. Let's see. A trip to Tim Hortons over a messed up drive-thru order turned to a tragic in Indiana when a 75-year-old woman got into a physical fight with employees and later died of a heart attack. Surveillance video from Fort Wayne coffee shop shows that Anita Grayson angrily confronting workers on May the 13th. Police say that things escalated after an employer told her to leave. Investigators say that Grayson shoved two employees, hit one in the face, and then pulled out a chunk of hair. One worker then swung at Grayson and knocked her out. She got back up. How do you get knocked out and get right back up? Maybe they knocked her to the ground. She got back up, and the store manager reportedly brought her water to calm her down. About 10 minutes later, officers arrived and found her unresponsive. She was later pronounced dead after suffering a heart attack. The story exploded online after Grayson's daughter shared only the clip of her showing her mother being knocked down, sparking outrage and calls for employees to be arrested. Police later said the full surveillance video saying that it showed Grayson started the physical confrontations. Grayson's daughter says that she still believes the workers played a role in her mother's death and called the situation diabolical. She acknowledged that her mother had cognitive heart failure, but said the employee should have handled the situation different because of her age. The Allen County's coroner's office says preliminary findings show that there were no major injuries that contributed to the heart attack, though officials' cause and manner of death is still pending. Tim Hortons released a statement saying that they're saddened by the incident and the franchise owner is cooperating with the police. So I'm just going to ask the question because I have to ask. The lady struck somebody in the face, pulled out somebody else's hair, and the daughter believes that they should have handled it differently. I am just asking the question. I just want to make sure that I understand it because I get confused. Okay, let me give you one more real quick.
WTF. Welcome to Florida.
A Florida man is accused of turning a wedding quote into a cage match after allegedly attacking a wedding officer after the beach ceremony. According to deputies, 35-year-old William Wells approached a 65-year-old officiant in Tornado Park after a wedding on May the 16th and asked about the prices for beach wedding services. The officiant reportedly quoted him $500, and Wells allegedly did not take the news like a groom finding out that an open bar closed early. Police say that Wells became angry, started yelling insults, and got more agitated when the officiant began recording the encounter. Deputies say that Wells swatted the phone and then punched the officiant in the stomach hard enough to temporarily knock the wind out of him. Wells allegedly sped off in a blue Kia, but was later tracked down at his home and arrested. He now faces felony battery charges because the victim was over 65 years old. Investigators say that Wells admitted arguing and swatting the phone, but denied throwing a punch. Authorities also say that Wells has history of prior battery arrest, along fleeing the narcotics-related offensive. So the guy heard $500 and the RSVP'd with his fist. So there you go, some stuff to think about. I mean, think about this for a moment. The guy knocked the wind out of him. I would hope so. If you punched the dude, I mean, anytime that you hit somebody, you wanted to do something. I don't mean that that was the greatest way to do it, but it sounds kind of weird.
Here is our main story on a Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so it is main story time, and it is time to talk about all that fun stuff that we get to do around here. So, Let's hang out, strip away the corporate jargon, and talk a little bit about what the hell is actually going on inside of this multiverse of ours, because that's always seems to be an important thing to do. So today I want to talk to you on a ride. I want to take you down this whole thing. I want you to picture something fast, heavy, and completely out of control. And I'm talking about a multi-ton, steel-plated freight train barreling down the tracks at 80 miles an hour. But here's the catch. There's nobody in the cab. The engineers are gone. The conductor isn't there. Instead, the whole system is being run by the beautiful, complex, highly advanced, multi-million-dollar automated software system sitting in the server room hundreds of miles away. The corporate executives who bought the system are ecstatic. Ecstatic, baby! And they're looking at their spreadsheets going, look at that efficiency. We cut labor costs by 40%, and the automated models handles everything. And for the first months, it does. It stops the red signals, it slows down on the curves, and it keeps perfect time. The system looks completely flawless on paper. But in the real world, well, we have to enter into the chats. And suddenly a sensor gets blocked by a piece of flying debris. A patch is hidden. Rust is on the tracks, tricks the software into thinking that the train is moving slower than it actually is. The automated brain tries to fix the bug, but it gets trapped in an algorithm loop. The software starts overriding mechanical emergency brakes because the lines of code say everything is fine, keep moving forward to maintain the maximum efficiency. Now you have a runaway train, and the people sitting in the corporate high rise have absolutely no way to stop it because they look at the manual controls, or better saying, they took the manual controls out of the system to prevent quote unquote human error. I'm keeping it real honest here. How many of you are currently working inside an organization that is running in that exact runaway train model? This is the ultimate illusion of modern workplace. And it has a massive piece of what we talk about when you look at that human and organizational performance, or that good old HOP. We have to become completely obsessed with technology, automation, and predictive models. And we are actively designed the human being out of the equation. We buy these massive software packages and then track every movement, every keystroke, every micrometric of the workers on how they do their labor. But we put sensors on forklifts, we put AI cameras in the warehouses, and we tell our supervisors, don't worry about walking the floor and having real conversations. Just look at the dashboards on your iPad. The data will tell you what is going on inside of the workplace and if the workplace is safe. But that is complete and unadulterated bullshit. Let's just be realistic. What the software sellers will never tell you is the algorithms are completely blind to context. A computer program can tell you that the workers bypassed a step in the protocol, but it will never tell you why they had to do it. It won't tell you that the standard part of what was out of stock, or that the tool provided the procurement was completely broken, or that the supervisor was screaming at them to get the line moving because the client was threatening to cancel their contract. The system treats the human worker like a liability, a weak link of the perfect machine. But reality is, the human being is the reason the machine works in the first place.
Duh.
Think about that. Think about the boy in the pier from yesterday's newspaper. Think about that boy that was on the pear tree. A high-tech, electronically guided exclusive drone is heading towards his family house. The drone is an automated marvel in engineering, but it didn't account for the 12-year-old grabbing the physical cable and ripping the connection part. We talked about this. That part in the drone's programming, that human adaptation, is the real time to prevent the disaster. That is what your workers do every single day on the shop floor. They use their brains, they use their experience, they use capacity to adapt the bridge of the massive gap between work as imagined by corporate as work as done in the mud and in the grease. Yet, when something inevitably goes sideways, what does the toxic system do? It goes straight to defense mode.
defense mode.
It blames the human operator. Well, the software model was perfect. The system was automated. The worker must have just failed to follow the digital prompt. And we have massive systemic failures of design and configuration, and then we dump the blame right back onto the shoulders of the person standing in the line of fire. We package their voice, we rebrand their operational experience as non-compliance, and then we smile while we do it. If you want to stop the runaway train before it hits the brick wall, we have to change the entire framework on how we look at technology. Automation and data should be used to support workers, not to monitor and replace them. You cannot manage safety from a dashboard in an air-conditioned office. You can only manage it getting dirty. Well, the only thing you're managing there is not getting your boots dirty. Walking onto the floor and ensuring that your system has the actual capacity to handle what is unexpected is what you need to be doing. By challenging, let me rephrase that because I shouldn't challenge you yet. What I should say is that my challenge to you, safety leaders, this week is simple. Look at the safety program. Are you building capacity for human adaptation, or are you just blindly trusting a runaway train because the digital dashboard looks clean? Maybe that's the thing to think about. Because if you're just trusting the machine, you better start doing something for your unspectacular planning, as I call it all the time. We always talk about that. The tracks are running out and the brakes might not be listening. I don't know, maybe it's completely off base here, but maybe I'm just an idiot behind this microphone. And maybe today I'm telling you to stop yelling, or maybe I'm telling you today to start yelling into what we would call the void. I'm asking you this question because someone has to. If you don't do something about these automated systems and only depend that they are the end all be all, you're going to be in for a huge surprise in the long run. And that is not a joke as I say that. Seriously. I'm telling you, it's going to be one of those things that life might be a little surprising when it's all said and done.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion. The book that started the conversation, Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Freeform radio never sounded this great. Or has it? Radio Big.
I try to catch myself, should I lay next to you? How can we fly if we never go? I wanna dive in the everglow. How can we live if we never know? Think I'm ready for your love. Think I'm ready for your love.
Okay, here we go. 45 minutes past the top of the hour as we are hanging out, doing all the fun stuff, doing our thing. Yeah, making it swing out there, that is for sure. Anyways, 45 minutes, you are still listening to the Rated R Safety Show as we are hanging. Okay. So this right here is River. Song's called Ready for Your Love. Songs readily available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and Pandora. If you have access to one of those streaming services, I would definitely recommend giving a little streamer-eamer action because it will change things for you. If you're ready for the love. Okay. So let's get some moving and grooving here. We'd like to thank River for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. No doubt about that. If anything, let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help, and we want you to know that people have been where you are now, and things can get better. Healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, there's going to be all kinds of information related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorder, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support, just to name a few. That's TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. Listen, once you get there, it can change everything for you. No doubt about that. I'm not joking as I say that information. I think you should go over there, take a look around. Listen, there's all kinds of other stuff you can do as well. You can look at the self-care stuff. You can see the events that are going on. You can see some of the stories that they have on their website, or even how you can get involved if you're interested in doing so. All you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com to Write Love on Her Arms. Like I always tell people, go to the website. It can change everything for you. Seriously, it can change everything for you as we are hanging out. No doubt about that. Okay, so as we are hanging out doing our thing, this is for sure. Let's continue talking about some other stuff that is going on inside of the world of the multiverse. So let me bring this up real quick before I forget. We have an event coming up on July the 13th. Yeah, July the 13th. That is a Monday here in good old Orlando. The reason why we're doing this is because we want you to come and hang out with us in Orlando, of course. Todd Conklin will be there talking about human and organizational performance. He will be there in person. I want to make sure that I'm clear about that because I think I had caused some market confusion by not mentioning in that fashion. Also, on top of that, we'll have Nick Weatherly in the room. He'll be talking as well about some other things that are going on with the world of behavior-based safety. And I will be there talking about good old Signal. So we'd love to see you there. We'll also have a documentary in the middle of the whole thing that we're going to throw down and do some things with. So we'd love to see you there if you're interested, of course. So all you have to do to find out more information is scan that QR code that's on the screen if you're on the visual radio side of the house. Or the other portion is you can go to safetyfm.io. safetyfm.io for more information. So that's it. That's the whole kit and caboodle. That is everything that is going on with that. Would love to see you there. I think it's going to be a good time as we're going to be hanging out on July the 13th. And would love for you to come and hang out at Disney. No, Disney, listen to me, wrong thing. Would love for you to come and hang out in Orlando. Disney, Universal, SeaWorld. You know it's all here. I don't know why I said brand specific there, but just some stuff to think about. Anyways, after that,
mess up.
Let's go ahead and bring some John Smalls into our life and let him tell us about what the hell is going on with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute. Courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Corey. Harvey McKay said, "Instead of giving yourself reasons why you can't, give yourself reasons why you can." This quote reminds me of the Henry Ford quote that I have hanging on the wall in my office. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right either way. So many times, it's literally just a mindset change. If you walk into a project thinking it's going to be hard to do and thinking it's going to take a long time, well, expect it to be hard and expect it to take a long time. Instead, convince yourself that it's going to be easy and it's going to be done quickly. Even if it only makes a tiny difference, why not at least try it to see? I recently had to file some paperwork for the IRS. I put it off as long as I possibly could. I dreaded the thought, but I decided to say, this is going to be easy. And guess what? It actually was.
The Motivation Minute.
This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
With streams so crisp that you can feel the sarcasm in your ear holes. Radio Big.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
Lebanon's health ministry reported that at least 22 people were killed in Israeli attacks over the past 24 hours, despite a 45-day ceasefire extension.
Officials say many of the dead were civilians in hard-hit border areas, and the latest strikes have pushed the overall death toll from the conflict to thousands of Lebanese and displaced more than 1 million people. The escalation has renewed international concern that the truce framework is unraveling. Benjamin Wright reporting.
In the eastern Mediterranean, Israeli forces intercepted the last remaining boats in a Gaza-bound humanitarian aid flotilla, taking more than 400 activists into custody.
The global Sumud flotilla had sailed from Turkey to try to deliver food, medicine, and other supplies to Gaza. But Israel's navy cut off the convoy far from shore, using live fire and boarding commands to seize the vessels. Gary Beck reporting.
The FBI has released new details about the fatal shooting at the Islamic Center of San Diego, naming 2 additional victims and saying the 2 teenage attackers met online and left behind writings filled with hate.
The victims include a longtime mosque employee and a neighbor who rushed toward the building when he heard the gunfire, while the security guard who was killed trying to stop the attack is now being remembered as a hero by his community. Jessica Oakley reporting.
Nigeria's military says joint strikes with U.S. forces have killed at least 175 people in a recent campaign against Islamic State fighters in the country's northeast.
The Nigerian army described the operation as a series of coordinated air and ground raids, with support from U.S. Africa Command, and framed the toll as militants and foreign fighters rather than civilians. The U.S. military confirmed its participation, but has not released its own casualty figures, instead emphasizing the advisory and training role of American troops. Kyle Norris reporting.
Back in the United States, the Justice Department announced a new provision effectively barring the IRS from ever investigating President Trump, his sons, and their family business as part of a broader settlement that created a roughly $1.7 billion fund for Trump supporters.
The addendum, signed by the acting attorney general, locks the IRS out of future tax return probes involving Trump's finances and related companies, while the fund is meant to compensate people who claim they were unfairly targeted by prior administrations. Lawrence Keller reporting.
Tensions between the United States and Iran have escalated sharply, as Iran has warned the war will spread beyond the Middle East if renewed American strikes proceed.
Iranian officials say they are still bracing for a possible US attack, even though President Trump has publicly delayed what he described as an imminent strike at the request of several Gulf allies. Tehran has linked its own military posture to the talks, insisting that any new assault would trigger a broader regional response. Chris Anderson reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
The members of this show are going to step out for just a second. Apparently, the producer held up the panic sign again.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so there you go. We are currently 54 minutes past the top of the hour, so let's continue talking about some other thing. Let's go ahead and talk about some things that happened back on this day. Back in 1925, Canadians allowed to allow beer sale. That happened in 1925. In 1944, Hitler begins attacks on English U.S. terror pilots. So there you go. In 1969, Robert Kennedy's Robert Kennedy's murderer is sentenced to death. Also, in 1979, Elton John becomes the first Western rocker to perform live in the USSR. In 1980, The Empire Strikes Back premieres. And let's see, in 1990, the last episode of Newhart airs on CBS. It was all a dream. So there you go. Some things that happened back on this date. Let's go ahead and talk about some celebrity birthdays that are going on today. Leo Sayer turned 78. Mr. T turned 74. Judge Reinhold turned 69. Nick Cassavetes turns 67. Sarah Ramos turns 35. And Cody Johnson turns 39 today. So there you go. There's some birthdays for you. Let's talk about some things that you ought to know. Vanessa Trump has revealed that she has been diagnosed with breast cancer. The 48-year-old shared the news yesterday in an Instagram post. Calling a personal health update, Vanessa said that she already been working closely with doctors on treatment plans and recently underwent medical procedures earlier this week. She added that she's staying positive and leaning on the support of her family and close friends during the recovery. Vanessa also thanked supporters for their kindness and asked for privacy as she focused on her health. She shares that 5 children with her ex-husband, Donald Trump Jr. In some other news, gas prices could surge to their highest level in 4 years this summer, according to Gas Buddy. Experts predict that the national average could be $4.80 between Memorial Day and Labor Day, possibly climb above $5 if tensions with Iran continue disrupting oil shipments through the Strait, a key global oil route. Analysts say that even the conflict cools down, prices are likely won't fall below $3 a gallon anytime soon. One expert called it the most volatile summer at the pump in years. So there you go. In some other news, let's talk about this real quick. Here's last night's winning Powerball numbers. 10, 28, 30, 46, 57. Powerball was 25 and Power Play was 3. So there you go. Okay, SpaceX has reportedly confirmed plans for an initial public offering that could become the biggest IPO in history. The potential push founder Elon Musk into trillionaire territory. According to reports, investors' demand for the offering is already massive, with company expected to begin trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker SPCX sometime in late June. If the numbers hold, the IPO could surpass the record set by Aramco, which raised nearly $30 billion during its historic public 2020. And what else do we got? Millions of Americans are expected to travel Memorial Day weekend as an unofficial start to kick off of the summer. So let's see. Despite the cooler weather forecast for parts of the Northeast, travel experts say that this year could break the holiday travel records, according to the American Automobile Association. About 39.1 million people are expected to travel by car, while another 3.66 million people are projected to fly during the holiday weekend. Drivers will pay noticeably more at the pump compared to last year. The national average of regular gasoline has climbed to about $4.55 a gallon, the highest level since 2022. So there you go. Anyways, that's going to sum up our time together. If you want to come and hang out with me, I will be going over to radiobig.fm for the next couple hours or so. If you don't want to go over there, you can hang out here with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios, as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.